And now for more on politics, as the new coalition in Israel is inaugurated, we are joined by Marc Schulman, columnist for Newsweek and editor of HistoryCentral.com. Marc, it's always a pleasure to have you. Now, first, Yamina has now split up. Chairman Bennett said that the deal offered to him wasn't good enough to bring the entire party into the coalition, but then Rafi Peretz dropped out, arguably for less. Why do you think that is? Why did he leave the party behind?
Okay, so the relationships between Peretz and the rest of the Yamina party have been up and down over the last few elections. Don't forget, Yamina split from the National Religious, came back again. Peretz was the head, and now of course, Bennett is. Peretz has really not done a very good job and really wasn't well liked within the Yamina party. And I think he himself, Peretz, just really didn't like politics all that much. And he sort of felt better to just have some sort of job in the government. He gets along with Netanyahu, gets along with Gantz. Gantz and him are good friends. So he figured, let me just do something for the next couple of years. I'll be a minister. I'll do something. I don't really care about politics for the long term. I don't care what happens to the Yamina party. And at least I'll do something for the country. That's his perspective. Let's put it that way. I think that's what it's all about. In terms of the Yamina party, Bennett and Shaked have tried to be the alternative solution to the Likud. They haven't succeeded at all. They tried to be the non-religious far right. They tried to be the religious far right. And so now they're going to be in opposition. I mean, don't forget, part of this whole issue, of course, is the bad blood that exists between Netanyahu and Bennett, and between Ayelet Shaked and Netanyahu. Both of them used to work for Netanyahu. That's how both of them began their political careers. So we have a lot of personality issues at work here. There may be some ideological issues, but I really don't think so. I think one of the problems that Shaked, of course, had was giving the blue and white, the Justice Ministry. She's been trying to make these judicial reforms that she calls them judicial reforms. People on the other side think it's destroying the judicial system. But either way, giving it to blue and white will stop all the things that she was trying to accomplish.
All right. Well, I want to move on now to the topic of government bloat, specifically Orly Levy-Abacasis from the Gesher Party. Her new position of Minister of Community Strengthening, which has no definition right now, and among the other 35 ministerial positions, there are several others that have never existed or really have limited scope. So what effect is this going to have on Israel's ability to govern?
It's very difficult. Let's look at it from two different perspectives. One, you have a cabinet that becomes an impossible entity, 36 members of a cabinet. How do you possibly get anything done in that sort of situation? B, you have all of these ministers that are stepping on each other's toes, taking over from one another in all sorts of different ways. We've created governments based on political needs. Let's go to something important for 2 seconds. Let's forget these new ones, which are really unimportant to some level. And look what happened to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Broken out from there, the Strategic Affairs Ministry, the Diaspora Affairs Ministry, the Intelligence Ministry, all the things that are all part of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that now they're all separate. So you have a foreign minister who commands theoretically all the consulates and embassies all over the world, but all of the different parts of his divisions now belong to different ministers. And we've had this now for 6 or 7 years since Netanyahu started to need those different positions to give away to hold his coalition together. We've had this absurd system of government where in order to make people happy, they have to become ministers. And in order to make them ministers, we need more ministers than we really have. And of course, one of the other problems, of course, is cost. Now, the argument is made, well, it's less costly than another election, and on some levels that's true. But each one of these ministers has a deputy minister and a driver and a strategic affairs person and a PR person, maybe 20 or 30 people in a staff for every minister. It's unnecessary. Now, maybe in the short term, it's more expensive to have more elections, but if we keep these ministries forever, we keep on adding these expenses forever, because once you have them, it's so hard to get rid of them. I mean, we look at Jewish history is full of organizations that never knew how to close, and we have ministries that never know how to close either.
All right. Well, you've given us a lot to think about right now as we head into this new government. Marc, thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure.